Perek Yud Gimel Nefesh Hachaim. And we started on Thursday. I gave this introduction to the Arba Olamos, which are Abia, Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. And what I was talking about on Thursday was mostly not to misunderstand it. Today we're going to learn it inside, not to misunderstand it. Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, as I pointed out, is not just different spaces or different places or different planets or different floors in a department store. Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya is a process. It's called the process of creation. This is much more logical for us. Not necessarily that there are different places. Maybe there are, maybe there aren't. I do not know. But we're talking about a process, how creation works. And if not Chazal, we wouldn't know this. Chazal were megala to us that everything starts in the world of Atzilus as something, let's call it spiritual. It starts to take form in the world of Bria, it takes more form in the world of Yitzira until it gets here. And this is the Nefesh Hachaim is going to explain to us, which is not his chiddush, but it's his chiddush to make a big deal about it, if you will. And that is that this is a constant, ongoing process. This wasn't just at the time of the original Bria So'ilam, Sheish is about 5,777 years ago, but this is something, Hamachadesh B'tuvoi B'chol Yoin Maisa Bereshis, as simple as that. This is not something which, as I say, is a chiddush of Nefesh Hachaim, but the nafkaminas in it are fantastic according to Nefesh Hachaim. What's the nafkamina in the fact that the world is created, constantly created and recreated every single second? So obviously, for instance, as I pointed out, you can understand what a miracle is. A miracle is not a miracle at all. It's just that it came down the line differently than something else. And of course, the most important nafkamina in the whole thing is that it's not just a process from up to down, but it's a cycle really, which goes from Asiya back to Atzilus and Bria and Yitzira and Asiya. So it goes like this, around and around. So it comes out that we, living in this world of Asiya, where Hashem made us and put us, we have a great effect and influence on everything that's going on in the world of Atzilus, Bria, and Yitzira. It's not just like coming to us and we're end users. We're actually in a certain way, like in a circle, we're in a certain way the bigger of it. We're not manipulating, the point I made on Thursday, which is, I want to repeat again, it's not that we're manipulating God in any way. This is not HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem is not in the world of Atzilus. I don't know where Hashem is. Hashem is everywhere as far as I know. But this is not like the Makam of Hashem. In fact, the Kisei HaKavod is not even in Atzilus. That's in the world of Bria. They're different things, but not to understand. Okay, this is where God is. Let's talk. It's not. That's not what we're talking about. We're identifying a process of creation. We're not identifying a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And there's many more worlds, as the Nefesh Hachaim calls them, the Olam HaTzachtzachos. There are many more worlds that are higher than the world of Atzilus. We just don't understand them even enough to give them a name. Even Atzilus, we just Bekoshi gave a name to. It's an ambiguous name, Eitzel. It's near. It's not even a name of something that we can Havdalah of Havdalah, like every illness has a name, which is good because once it has a name, so that the name is usually defining the essence of that illness. So what used to be called, what used to be referred to in very vague terms, for instance, heart failure. Today is no longer has to be called heart failure. They could define it in very specific terms as to what exactly is wrong with your heart or with your foot or your leg, because the name of something defines the essence of that. That's the purpose. When Adam Arishon went around Gan Eden and he gave everything a name. So what it wasn't just like, oh, you look like Betsy to me. It wasn't that it just gave it a name. It was like when we name our child, it's Baruch HaKodesh. The name has to do with the essence of it. And what he was really doing was acting as a sort of a scientist, a scientific observer of the entire Bria and explaining for all future generations what this is. What are these things? So the Torah says in Pardes Project, it says that, if God forbid, if we don't do the Ratzon Hashem, so we will get the Kollel Bais And it says, "As hamaka haksuva b'Torah v'as hamaka asher einena ksuva b'sefer HaTorah," which is even a term. Like it's a maka like suva b'Torah. It's not even written. Such a bad maka, it's not even written. There's a maka ksuva b'Torah hakadachas hashachafas ala shvartiar and but loyalenu. And then there's a maka like suva b'Torah. So Hakadosh Baruch Hu says, if you don't do the Ratzon Hashem, meaning you violate the purpose of your creation, so the whole world is mayhem. The whole world is created. The whole creation is not going to work correctly because you're at the controls and you're driving drunk over here. In the world of Asiya, it's you're going to create craziness in the world, and you're going to have as Habakkuk Suva B'Torah, as Habakkuk She'enuk Suva B'Torah. Says the Ramban, what's the significance of Habakkuk She'enuk Suva, or what's the significance of Habakkuk Suva? So the Ramban says that since Adam Arisha named everything, at least if it's Habakkuk Suva B'Torah, we can know what it is and try to fix it. Like at least if we understand an illness, we can try to fix it. The word, if I'm not mistaken, I think cancer, is just a name for an illness that we don't know what it is. I mean, we know how it behaves, but we don't necessarily, to some degree we know it, we don't necessarily know what it is, which is why there's no cure for it.
Syndrome. Syndrome is called a syndrome.
It's a syndrome, right? So the word cancer, I think, in Greek, means wild, nothing, no logic, no derech, no. That's what it means. So that's a makash like suva b'Torah. That's a makash like suva b'Torah. So I just the Indian names. That's what names is. When you name something, particularly in Lashon HaKodesh, so it defines the essence of that idea. When it comes to the worlds of the process of creation, Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, Asira. So there's two panim l'davar. One pen is that if they have names, let's understand them because they're there to understand and to as much as we can understand the essence of it. When we're talking about lamala mimenu or HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, leis machshava tfisa beit doesn't even have a name. There are many names for the Shem Hashem. There are many names but those Shemos of Hashem are not the essence of Hashem. Those are, even the Shem HaMefarish, which is the closest, those are only names of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. Elokim, Midas Hadin, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, Midas Harachamim. They're names of Hanhaga. Shemos are not the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu any more than they're just the names of his behavior.
So when it says he descended on the mountain or he descended to Gan Eden to talk to Moshe or to, what does that mean?
The Shechina.
Shechina.
Pashtus means the Shechina. Or to put it in a more sophisticated, not catch-all word, it means the Or. And I explained this also that there's a great confusion between the Or HaPashut of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Hashem himself. And this confusion has caused Avodah Zarah to happen in the world.
Yeah.
It's not just a small little, okay, who cares? It's caused Avodah Zarah to happen in the world because the moment that you say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was mitzamtzim himself into everything, yesh lecha bayot. If you say that the creation all took place with something with, let's call it Or. So I don't know if it means Or isn't that Or, but let's call it Or. The Or turned into things, stuff. So okay, but that's not Hashem. That's the just even before I begin, I just wanted to read you if I could quickly. The Ramban, I think, famously says in Bereshis, and this is going to help us. But he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu bara kol. I'm reading for the Ramban. Hashem opened to the place. I had no idea where it was.
Is it an Hakdama?
No, Bereshis Aleph. After the Hakdama. On the pasuk Bereshis bara Elokim. Says the Ramban. What do you want to say?
I was going to ask, so what's the Hasidic concept of elevating the sparks?
Sparks. Sparks. It's not Hashem. Not elevating Hashem. Whatever those nitzotzos were, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created something, so just like a sculpture creates something and all kinds of pieces go all over the place, those pieces also have holiness. So they also have a purpose. Everything Hashem creates has a purpose. Kol. So the Rabat says as follows: HaKadosh Baruch Hu bara kol hanifroim me'afisa muchletes. A great lashon. HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates everything that's created, means everything we see, everything we know, everything we can look at under a microscope or with a telescope. It all comes me'afisa muchletes. Ephes. Comes from which we call in our language
Nothingness.
ayin, yeah, nothingness.
Ishmael.
Niyalo. Ve'ein losh. Listen to this language. I'm so happy I found it. Eida tzleidu bilshoin hakodesh. Boitzois hayesh mi'ayin. We have no word in Lashon HaKodesh for ex nihilo, which means it used to be nothing. See that thing? Used to be nothing. Ella Lashon bara. He's commenting on the word Bereshis bara Elokim. There's one word which means yesh mi'ayin, and that is bara. Ve'ein kol hanasa tachas hashebesh. O lamala. O lamala. Hove min ha'ayin haschala rishona. Anything you see is not nothingness yet, right? Aval hoitzi min ha'efes you're not seeing the ayin. Aval hoitzi min ha'efes ha'gomer ha'muchlat. What happened was, I mean, this is an explanation that the Ramban gives us a glimpse that, where would we get this? Aval hoitzi min ha'efes ha'gomer ha'muchlat yisoid dak mo'oid. There was nothingness, and Hashem took from it a yisod dak ma'od. Ein bo mamash. Avlu koach mamsi. Its only koach is that it can create other things. Think about an atom, a molecule. Muchan lekabel atzura. V'lotzes min hakoyach el hapoyel. So this original creation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is after the ayin. This is the first yesh. Right? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, that has in it bekoach, a whole world. V'hu ha-chomer harishon. Nikar le-yevonim hayuli. Hiyuli. Now, hiyuli. I believe that the word helium comes from hiyuli. But I don't know what it is anyways. But the ancient Greeks, and the Ramban subscribes to this idea, held that when Hashem created the world, so he created originally Hiyuli, not Hayuli, as everybody says, because I have the Kudas here. Hiyuli, something called Hiyuli. And this Hiyuli was something, I don't know what it was, let's think of it as a vapor, as something. V'achar Hiyuli leibara davar. Once he made the Hiyuli, he didn't create anything. Avo Yotzar, Va'asa. Remember, Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. After that, he was Yotzar. He was Asa. Himimenu himtzi hakol, v'hilbish hatzurais, v'tikei noisa. V'da yishano ki hashamayim v'chol asher bahem choymer echad, v'aretz v'chol asher ba choymer echad. V'akadosh Baruch Hu bara elu shnehem mi'ayin u'shnehem levadam nifraim b'akol nasim mehem. V'achoymer hazeh shekaru hiyuli nikra b'lshain hakodesh.
Tohu.
Very good. Tohu. Meaning that Bereshis bara Elokim v'shivayim v'zaretz v'aretz hoisa tohu v'avayu. And I mentioned this before. We tend to think that that's referring to a pre-creation. Or it's a toyu v'avayu, and then on that Hashem created the world. No, says the Ramban, toyu is a zach.
It comes after the word bara already.
Yeah, the bria was a bria of toyu. Toyu in Japanese, not Japanese, Greek, is
Same thing.
hiyuli.
Sounds like French.
Yeah. Anikra amila nigzira milshaina b'toy al harishonas. Toy hey al harishonas.
It wasn't saying that's a bria though. It doesn't say that Hashem created the Toyu.
It does. Bereshis bara Elokim as a shemayim v'saaretz. Period. But it was all, so that's it. The whole thing happened in the first pasuk. What else is there? So you thought it was a chapter head, right? Like, Reishis Baruch gave us driver's ours. Well, let me give you the details, right? No, Reishis Baruch gave us a driver's ours. Period. What did he create? Something which has in it bekoach to create all of Shemayim Va'aretz, and then it took 6 days of creation for this to unfold, to unravel.
So what's the balance itself?
Why what?
So I'm saying that the land was,
As a result of the
as a
bracha.
result, Tohu is that first,
Aretz haisa tayu v'avayu.
so,
V'choshech. When I got time. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Yehi or.
The arts made the universe?
So one second, I just don't take me where I don't understand. Because Baruch Hu created this stuff, Tayu v'avayu, and apparently Chayshech. Tayu, Vayu must be a different thing. So the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, right? It's Hanukkah time. So the ancient Greeks said, apparently they were maskim to this, that the world was created Yuli. You see, this Ramban, I'm not getting into politics, but this Ramban gives license, let's say, to those those evolutionists which want to claim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this something, and from that came out the entire world. Sick.
And you left it alone.
Right. No, I think lo yachpat lanu so much. Like, what's the difference if he created the sun, your sun? But it does say that Hashem said to the sun, "Give light." He did to give to the moon. Right? So you have to know how to work it out. But apparently there was something, and from that something, for lack of a better word, evolved many other things, which is the world that we talked about. So. It doesn't, I don't think anybody should get too excited one way or the other about evolution, because it doesn't really address the main point, which is
Who's in charge?
Yesh Mi'ayin. The main point is Yesh Mi'ayin. What we're talking about, when we're talking about Hashem created the world, when we make that statement, Hashem created the Boirei Olam, we're talking about the fact that, however he did it, but however you want to learn the psukim, you can learn the psukim or the Zohar. But the chap here is that something came from nothing at some point. So to get that's a tough one for people. For Greeks, for Yuli, how do you get something from nothing? Alchemists tried to do this. Nobody was able to get from nothing to something. That's too much. It's a godless.
Because the nothing was even a creation. The nothing was even a creation.
I don't know.
So when we talk about Hashem creating us constantly, he's taking Tov Vavo and constantly keeping us.
I think so. I think that means that, however, again, the Ramban gives this a word. We can go from Yulian, Hiyulian. We can go from Hiyulian and understand but what's happening with us is that I believe it's Yesh Mi'ayin. Every single second, not just us, but the table, the world, everything that we see. So the world changes dramatically. It can change from second to second in ways that are, it can change miraculously. There could be a Kriyas Yamsuf, there could be peace, there could be war. The world changes miraculously, and it's all part of a cycle of Atzilus Bri, Atzilus Basi. Is there anything more important than this? Understanding what how the world changes, and we're somech on the fact, we're somech on chazaka, that every day the sun gets up. I remember that President Obama said, no matter who wins the election, he said this the night before, the sun will rise tomorrow morning. How's he so sure about it? But it was a chazaka, the sun's going to rise in the morning. It did. Kadosh Baruch Hu's good, and the world continues to go, and we're still talking here, and everything is good, But that's a new bria. If you really understand that, that's like it's a new bria. That's not machayev necessarily. What happened yesterday should happen tomorrow.
But it's a new bria from which stage? From the
From
Tov
Vavo, I think. We're going to learn actually, but that's the Ramban I wanted to point out to you. So comes Reb Chaim Volozhin. Let's start learning the Haggah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Yud Gimel. My main point in all of this was, just to sum it up, that what we don't have a name for, we don't have a name for. It means that we have no way to understand it. What we do have a name for, there could be many worlds. It could be thousands, millions, I don't know. But what we can already begin, at least the Mekubalim are able to identify the world of Atzilus. And the Chumash already identifies for us the world of Bria, and Yitzira, and Asiya. And by the way, all those languages are used in the first paragraph of Bereshis. Vayas es Adam, Vayivra es Adam, Vayotzar es Adam. It's all there. Everything is there. They all mean something different, right? Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. Well, if he's Seder Hadalad Eilamas, Nefesh Hachaim, Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, Hayaroi Loimar Tchila Lashon Bria V'Acher Kach Yitzira. There's a Seder here. The Seder is that in the process of creation, everything starts with Bria, and then from Bria goes to Yitzira. So Bria should always come before Yitzira. There are two places that I know of that it's not. One is the pasuk that he brings at the beginning of Yud Gimel, which he's addressing. Kihine Yoitzer Harim. If you go back to the beginning of the parak. Kihine Yoitzer Harim Uboire Ruach Umagid La'adam Masechai. Remember, this parak is referring and discussing the koach of dibur, siach. What does dibur do in the whole bria? Seichai. So Amos Hanavi discussed this, and he says, Parak Daled Pasuk Yud Gimel, Kihine, Hashem is Yotzer Harim. Look at the lashon, nuance. Yotzer Harim. He does a Yitzira on mountains. Borei Ruach. He does a bria on Ruach. Remember we discussed, like, where does wind come from? Nobody seems to know. Where does it come from? It's there.
Last from the pasuk that it was bara. It didn't come from anywhere.
That's exactly right. It's just there. It's a bria.
There's nothing in this.
Somebody here, I don't remember who, sent me a beautiful, after I spoke about how the kids don't know where wind came from, because neither do I. Where does it come from? They say it comes from the trees, and maybe it comes, more sophisticated people say it comes from the ocean. But somebody sent me a Google Earth map, which is really cool, which shows you the way of all the winds, where, and the miles per hour of the wind in the middle of the Indian Ocean, in the middle of Siberia. You have all the winds. You can see exactly how all the winds and where it's coming and the wind patterns. And I studied this thing, I'm telling you, for 15 minutes, and I still don't know where the wind comes from. Where's it coming? It's just there. All of a sudden there's wind. I don't know. Somewhere, maybe the wind here comes from there, but where does the whole thing come from? Is so whatever it is, as you say, it's bara. It's bara. It's hard to know. Yoitzer harim boirei ruach umagid lo de masechai.
So really, forgive me, what the pillar where wind comes from, scientifically we know it comes from air pressure. Air pressure comes from heat. What's the pillar to us in that?
Where does it start?
Heat.
Okay.
There's changing heat.
Why?
Why is it changing heat then?
Okay, I'm saying ultimately we don't know.
Eventually we'll get to it if we keep it.
But the point is that it doesn't come from anything on the level of a Asiya or Yitzira.
Exactly.
Comes from Bria.
That's right. And therefore nothing in this world in the physical domain that we see is a cause for wind.
Except that we could see as everything how it works. You could see the mechanics of it, but where it comes from, it's a bria. Okay, yes, when heat does this and light does that, you get lightning, you get wind, you get that, but that's different from
Original source.
the original source. It's different, So the Nefesh Hachaim's question is in this pasuk. So just shot in pasuk that the order is mixed up. Amos, his order is mixed up because he could have should hidei yoitzer harim uboirei ruach. Let's just stick to that part of the pasuk. Bria comes before Yitzira. If we're describing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is what the pasuk, what Amos is doing, we're saying, he who, this is what Amos said to the people, he who created mountains and created wind will tell you every word that you said and its significance when you come to the Olam HaEmes. strong nevuah. Every word will be repeated to you, but not just the word, why'd you say this, why'd you say Lashon Hara, why'd you say, but the ramifications of every word. It is a few, sometimes I don't think I'm particularly sensitive more than anybody else, but sometimes somebody could say like one word, and it could ruin the whole day. You could say one word, you can make somebody's whole day. We don't think of the ramifications. Now, if my day is ruined, I'm in a negative mood, so I'm talking to 20, 30 people a day, trying to help them one way or the other. My koach is less. So the effect is 20, 30 people. And if their lives are not that drop better, so what's with their wives? What's with their husbands? What's with their children? What's with the other kids in the class? What's with their lives? How one word can affect infinite. It can go for generations. Kamsa bar kamsa charva Yerushalayim. But we don't understand. One good word, you give somebody a moment of simcha or a chizuk, it could change thousands of lives, thousands. One word. You have to have siyata d'shvaya to be able to hear that word, to be able to say the word. You come to Shabbayim, says Amos. I'm just saying Pasha before we get too deeply into it. I never want to lose the Pasha of Shaar. Amos said, should understand, he creates mountains, he creates ruach, and there's a significance, and that is the significance. How that mountain will look, the butterfly effect. How that mountain will look has very much to do with the siyach ha'adam. What that mountain looks like could have something to do with the siyach. Kal v'chober, easy things like what that family will look like, what that, just like we really need to, this is Amos to say, get yourselves together and think about what it means to say, good Shabbos to somebody, It's like it's so.
He's answering the question, by the way, that the Western philosophers would ask: if a tree falls in the forest, does anybody hear it? The answer is yes.
Of course.
It doesn't make any noise, does it?
Right.
Or is it doesn't make a noise? I'm sorry, it doesn't make a noise. The answer is of course. It
Say
makes a
good.
noise.
Right.
Yeah, of course it makes a noise.
Right. And maybe what we're saying here is making that tree fall in the forest altogether. It's like everything is connected. So the question is, okay, that's the Pashat Pshat in Amos, which is not Pashat at all. Pashat Pshat. Gotta be careful what you say. Yecholiot even more than what you do. It's interesting. He's going to tell us in Parak Yud that what we do is sometimes mukbal, to where we did it. But what we say, that has even more koach. So, it goes out to a higher level and it affects more things. What we say, koach hadibur. It's not Pashat Hashem gave us koach hadibur. Just give it to anybody but people. He gave us the koach hadibur. It's a koach of bria. Koach hadibur is koach of bria. The question on the pasuk is, why does it say Yotzer Har before Borei Ruach, which is changing the order? Let me ask a similar question, which you might ask later, I don't remember. Why do we say in davening Yotzer Har Uvarei Choshech? Oseh Shalom Uvarei Sakol. Yotzer Har is Yitzira. Borei Choshech should come before that. So it should be, if anything, Borei Choshech Yotzer Har, Vayi Erev, Vayi Boker. That would make more sense anyway, to have the Choshech first. Vayi Erev, Vayi Boker. Borei Choshech Yotzer Har, Oseh Shalom. That would be Vayis Ketzeichen. That would be beautiful. But it doesn't say that. It says Yotzer Har Uborei Choshech, which is, we see two things there in that little bracha that we're saying. That first of all, Choshech came before Or, and Choshech is a bria, and Or is a Yitzira. Let's wrap our brains around that for a minute. We say it again. Choshech is a bria.
Say negative.
As opposed to a lack of light. It's a bria. Ba'olam haisa. Ba'toihu v'avayu The choshech. Apnei tahom, that's another thing. Choshech is something which Hashem created. You could be doche, the choshech, with or. But it's choshech is there. It's not dark because there's no light. That's not the pshat. Very important. It's dark because Hashem created darkness. As a matter of fact, it was all darkness. Darkness was first. Darkness is the preemptive state. Darkness is the default situation.
Or the Yetzirah of darkness?
Yeah. So, meaning, if you want to get rid of the dark, you have to turn on the lights. You have to the sun has to come out. But in other words, darkness is a creation. And the funny thing about darkness is also that light just goes as far as it goes. Like, you can't block darkness, can you? I'm going to close the window so the darkness won't come in. It doesn't work. You can block light. You can buy a sunshade. You can't buy a dark shade. So it's a... why does everyone looks like I'm giving them a terrible headache? But so Yotzer or Baruch Hashem. Now I tell you the simple shot, if you will. The actual pasuk is Yotzer or Uvarech Choshech Oseh Shalom Ubore Ra. The Kehillat Hagdolah didn't want us to say Ubore Ra in the morning, before our first cup of coffee. There's an Ubore Sakol. But Ubore Ra is really what it is. So Ra is goes with Yotzer or Uvarech Choshech. Here's how the set goes. Oseh Shalom Ubore Sakol. So the bria of Ra, if you will, same as the bria of Choshech. Also a bria. Ra is also a bria. So So in other words, Ra is not like the lack of Tov. It's a bria. The Pashut shot is that when Hashem created the world, He created it like this: Vayi Ara, Vayi Boker. The words of the Gemara is Bereisha Chashucha V'Hadar Nahira. First came Choshech, then came Or. That was the Seder HaBriah. When we wake up in the morning, we're starting in the world of Asiya. Right? Good morning, I'm up. Now we're working our way up from Asiya to Yetzirah, to Bria, to Hakol. Spoke about it on Shabbos. So therefore we say, Yotzer or first Yetzirah, Ubore Choshech, and only second do we say Choshech, Bria. But it's not because we're arguing with Hashem in this, it's that we're going in two different directions.
Different perspectives.
Right. If you're talking about the actual Bria, so first comes Bore, then comes Yotzer. If you're talking about our engaging the Bria, so we engage it first in the world of Asiya. Wake up in the morning, you wash Nagovasser, you say brachos, which has to do with all the I got my shoes on, I got my clothes on, went to the bathroom. It's all in the world of Asiya, which are all very important things. And then we work our way up through Tefillah, etc. In our Avodas Hashem, we work our way up to the world of Yetzirah until we get to the world of Bria, which Agav is the world of Kriyas Shema and Birchos Kriyas Shema, until we work our way up to the world of Atzilus, which is Shemona Esrei, the Amidah, where we're Oimed Shivisi Hashem L'Nagdisam, Da'alif Ne'miyah to Oimed. So what we're doing, our Avodah, starts from Asiya, works to Yetzirah, goes to Bria, and then goes to Atzilus. And Atzilus is Hakol. Ubore is Hakol. But in the order of the bracha, you can understand. Why did Amos speak in a reversed order? Well, you can say the same thing. Starts with our Dibur, works to the Yetzirah, then goes up to the Bria. Or it could be another shot. Everybody following me? I don't want to confuse it. So says Reb Chaim Volozhin as follows. Why is the order changed? That is the kasha on the table. So Dr. Chaim, Amna Ma'inyan, let's begin to understand. Kilashaim Yitzira. What does Yitzira mean? Yitzira. Asher Yatzar es Adam. What does Yitzira mean? Perushai. Hitztayirus davar yesh b'yesh. When you form something, from something to something. That's Yitzira. You take the dough and you make challah out of it. That's Yitzira. Yitziras hadavar. I'm not mistaken, in the Hebrew, like a factory is called a Bais Yitzira, is it not? As opposed to a Bais Habriya. A Borei, you're Yotzer. You're taking something and you're making something else from it. You're repurposing it, reformatting it, reshaping it. So that's what Yitzira is. Ulashain Bria. What is Bria? Imkain? Perushai davar mechudash yesh mi'ayin. Now, Moshe said this on Thursday and I argued with him. I'm going to continue to. But that's what he said. That the lashon of Bria is Perushai davar mechudash yesh mi'ayin. K'moishe hiskimu kol ha'pashtonim. As all the Pashtonim say, and I just read it to you, by the way, the Pashtonim here you're referring to is the Ramban. The Ramban says, Ein atzleinu b'lashon HaKodesh, that we have no other word in Lashon HaKodesh b'itzois ha'yesh mi'ayin el lashon bara. The bara means yesh mi'ayin. Pay attention to the next wedding you go to the Yeshiva Brachas. Asher bara chasam b'simcha chasam v'kala gila rina ditzach ba'ava. There's a yatzar, there's a bara, there's an asa. So beautiful how the two neshamas come from the world of Atzilus and little by little come into the world of Asiya as one. What's going on there under that chuppah? It's like remarkable.
So is Ra made from nothing also? Yesh me'ayin?
Yes, yeah, Baras Hara.
Ra.
Baras Hara. So the Ramban tells us, and this is what the Nefesh Hachaim is going with over here, that the word for Yesh me'ayin, ex nealo, is bara. The word for ayin me'ayin is yatzahar. So first you make the thing, create the thing, bara, and then you form the thing. That's what he tells us. Moshe skimu kola pashtonim, and if you don't like pashtonim, which is, as I point out, the Ramban, chen amru b'zayar chadash breishis medrash hanela. Says the Nefesh Hachaim, even though all we see is Yitzira, you can see Yitzir Har. Mountains are formed by volcanoes, and mountains are formed. You can see that. You can watch the seismic world. Yesh miyesh, it's all yesh miyesh. Yitzira we can see. Yitzira is the domain of scientists, because Yitzira doesn't just mean you made a table out of wood. Yitzira is the permutations of cells, how one thing can evolve into something else, how things are formed, how matter is formed. That's an area where scientists can go to. Scientists, they tried, but they can't get into the world of yesh mi'ayin. So all the, why would look? I realize I'm ignorant, but I mean, why would physicists, Kishman, Kenhu, which are dealing with the physical world, probe into the world of Yesh Me'ayin, of Bria? Because physicists have to do with Yitzira Lamata. So stick to your trade.
Yesh me'yesh?
Yesh me'yesh. And you're pretty good at yesh me'yesh. I mean, there's like a lot of theories that you can do mathematically. Whether it takes 100 million years or they're off by a few million here or there. But there are sequences of processes that you can have algorithms which can explain how something would happen and how Of course, we can always come and say, well, that doesn't count the mapul, and that doesn't count it doesn't concern me, b'chlal. I just personally, it's like, when I get heard that kind of discussion, I try to get politely leave. I just doesn't do anything for me, But what does something is what the Torah adds to this, to the party here. And that is the ex nihilo. Very good, big bang. It's a big bang, but what banged? To what? Like what was there originally? Yuli? Whatever you want to call it, Greek, scientists, whatever you want to call it, it was there. Bria has to do with what was not there. So we can even talk about how that mountain in Hawaii got there, and why it took 4 million years or 40 million years to get there. We can talk about that. How about, you want to talk about it, talk about it. But whatever relevance it is, it has. But what you can't talk about is how did you get from nothing to something. There's no theory. There is no theory. Nobody goes there. I think Einstein made the point that with the theory of relativity, do you understand the creation of the world? So he said that, which is Lashitase, the theory of relativity, is that somebody's trying to touch the sky and he can't reach the sky, so you stand up on a chair. Relative, get it? Relative to the sky, so you're not any higher. Whatever we understand is minuscule compared to what needs to be understood. So it's b'chlal, I'm adding, b'chlal, not the domain. It's not the scientific domain altogether, which is the domain in the world of Yetzirah. The Kabbalah talk about the world of Yetzirah. It's a sefer Yetzirah. How the Yetzirah came about. But Yetzirah is not Bria.
Hashem is everything and nothing simultaneously. So we're the manifestation of that. Everything and the nothing.
I'm not sure. Okay. I'm not sure. Let me just read these few lines before I finish. It looks to us that the time of Bria is over, and right now we're in the world of Yetzirah. Yesh miyesh, we're in the world of science. Ki hayischadshus yesh miyayin kfar hoya b'sheishes yemei breishis sheishes yemei kedem. Says Reb Chaim Volozhin, and this is the aside we're going to leave off. Aval ha'emes kim me'oz, that back then came gam ata. The same thing is true now also. B'chol eis v'rega hu boire. There you go. Hu boire oisam u'machadshim yesh miyayin. It's not just that Yetzirah keeps happening, but an evolution of Yetzirah, but Bria keeps happening. Every second, Bria is happening. So every second, we are the result of a Yesh Me'ayin. Al-Yadei, it's so natural to us that we don't feel it, but we are a result of Yesh Me'ayin. So you know what? The sick can get healthy, the healthy can get sick, God forbid. The world can be here, the world cannot be here. And the sun will rise in the morning because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said it will. Bris, right? Yoim v'layla lo yishpoisu. So the president was correct. Yoim v'layla lo yishpoisu. That's only because Hashem said that I'm not going to stop the bria of the sun. The sun will rise tomorrow morning. Ad kedei kach, the Gemara has an expression, it's baruch echama. It's like the sun will shine tomorrow morning. That's how clear this is. Because there's a bris from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'rego barois of the chachi yesh v'yayin, ayidei chayos ha'ruach shebashmiya vehem, mechadash b'rtzayna yisparach kol rega. V'chein amru ba'avais, and we say in Perek Daled ba'avais, hu hayotzer, hu habarei, v'hu kanal. U'mimoitza davar yaskel ha'mayin al pi poshet. And now we need to go, which we're going to do next time, Inyan Hadalad Ainamais. Now we need to understand what's happening in this process. Shenikra Atzilus Bria Yitzira Asir.
So that wasn't a state of reality before the novel, before after the novel?
Why not? Oh, not necessarily.
That's when the bris.
That's how there was a Mabul. Went back to the Bria. The Mabul went back to the Bria. It was Choshech HaMayim all the time. Ruach Elokim, Rachem Zamayim.